warp gate's prepared yet.
You need to try and pick off the units as...
Look at the shields on the warp missiles.
Oh my god, the drone's gonna take them.
And here we are in game number 3, Artosis. OMG. It's NightEnD against Tarson. Here, you can see NightEnD checking to see are there close positions on this map, rather. And this is a fixed map. In other words, there's no broken locations for starting locations here. You can't be too close. Long story short, originally on this map, you could spawn either both sharing the upper left or both sharing the bottom right. And not so much in this matchup as other matchups, is that just wasn't a balanced situation. I mean, if you're Zerg you're against Protoss or Terran, that's just hell. And that's been fixed, so they was just double checking for that to make sure his scouting was okay. So in the previous game, we saw Tarson. He had a strong opening, but you know, when it came to attacking, it was just NightEnD who was the wiser player. He knew exactly when to move in and when to pull out. And in game number 1, basically, you know, NightEnD, as far as I can tell, he seems like he's somebody who's better as the game goes on. He's better in the late game. A mid-game push is just too much for him to handle.
Yeah, it seems like early on, he's just... The way he's getting his upgrades and stuff. For instance, in that first game, Tasteless on Chikuris Plateau, he rushed to Blink Stalkers. And the thing is, he had observers. He saw what was going on. He saw that there was a Raven. He saw that there were Marines and Siege Tanks. Against all that, you actually should be rushing to charge Zealots so that you can actually break the push. The Stalkers are going to be the least useful unit against that. But so basically what I'm saying is I feel like his early game he's not really understanding exactly what to upgrade in what order. Whereas as he gets to the late game, he has his full unit composition, he has all his tools, and then he uses them very well.
Yeah, well said, Artosis. Well, in these spots, we see a lot of different strategies that both sides can use. We've seen Warp Prism rushes, we've seen Banshee rushes or quick drops. We've also seen just standard fast expand builds. The reason why these starting locations are so interesting is because of how close they are by air to the opposing player.
Well, the probe has already scouted out everything for Tarson. Now the SCV going to do the same before that Cybernetics scores up already a second assimilator, so he's not really going to get a whole lot of information before that Stalker is out to chase him away.
Okay, the probe is scouting around the map right now, just checking out what's going on, if there's anything hidden on the map. A factory over here. Generally, if we see the factory in this location, we could assume one thing is that he may peek inside the Protoss's base with the factory. Another is that if he makes an atom with that factory, he's probably going to get a Banshee.
Yeah, especially with a double gas going up. This definitely looks to me tastes like Banshee. Tarson has shown in the past many times he is a fan of the Banshees, so definitely expect to see that in the near future. How will NightEnD counter this, though? He has been getting a pretty quick robo every game, even if he's not going for Colossus. So I suspect he's going to be able to get observers out, just in case it is Cloaked Banshee.
You know, one thing about NightEnD is that he clearly has a style, at least that we've seen from the first 2 games, where he likes to stay with Tier 1 and use these Citadel upgrades. You know, and that's actually fine. 3-gate pretty common. As you can see here, the SCD is going to get in. And I think at this point in time, Tarson is probably expecting pretty much the same game he's seen in the last 2 games. The same style of Protoss play. Protoss neglecting Colossus, which again is fine. We tend to see Colossus, generally speaking, but it's fine to play without it. Good way to open up. And yeah, I think both players are probably expecting to see a pretty similar game here.
Yeah, definitely. And that's good, man. That's going to make for a very interesting game. Who is going to kind of figure out his opponent? Whoa! Never mind. Let's just talk about this. NightEnD has just rushed to the gold base.
All right, so, well, what does this mean? First of all, it means he's going to have way more minerals, and with more minerals, I think this almost complements NightEnd's style, where he's actually going to be able to make a lot more Zealots, a lot more Stalkers, use those sentries in the kind of narrow pathway between these 2 bases. Yeah. Oh, nice!
Good.
Easy there, Tarson. You need to chill out, Tarson. You're a little crazy, man.
You know, I I wonder if NightEnd's going to use this to hit a timing. The gold base, the interesting thing about it is it mines actually a similar amount when it's saturated to a fully saturated blue base, but it uses a lot less probes to do so.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can oftentimes hit various timing and, ooh, that Banshee.
Okay, now the element of surprise with the strategy is gone. I think he actually expected the Banshee to just go around like Tarson did and then get to behind the Protoss' base, but now I think he's suddenly... Is he kiting a Nexus?
He's kiting a Nexus.
He was kiting a Nexus for a minute, but... No, but I think right now Tarson, in his mind, he's immediately trying to assemble a counter strategy to this.
Yeah.
This is not common at all.
No, not common at all. 3 Stalkers coming out here, going to force that Banshee away, but Cloak is just about to finish, so the Banshee will probably be back. The Stalkers won't know about it except for their friendly probes dying.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, this Banshee is getting in there. We don't have anything to detect yet. An observer just now out.
And he's going to want to get out of there. Do not want to lose a cloaked Banshee this quickly. Ooh. The Banshee makes it out of pieces. Another one in the main base, going after a few probes here.
He's got to be careful, though. Looks like he's going to get that sentry, but...
He does lose the Banshee. Not a lot of damage, so these Banshees have been pretty ineffectual, Tasteless.
Well, Tarson is in a pretty bad position right now. I mean, he made 2 Banshees got cloak. He hardly got any units. He basically damaged the Nexus and killed a sentry. Maybe got 1 or 2 probes, but that's not enough. I mean, Terran is still on 1 base right now, and Orbital only just now starting Artosis. And this is bad, to be totally frank.
Yeah, that's not this position you want to be in. He spent so much to get those Banshees out. His command centers later, he spent a ton of gas, which was minerals he couldn't mine. He got the expensive cloak upgrade. That looks like it's not going to be useful. He only has 1 Banshee left, and there's 2 observers out already. NightEnd has to be feeling very confident here, adding more gateways, and just looking strong rollout. Ooh, even the Twilight Council is going to go down there, so it looks like he is going to stay with this very similar style. And against the Marine Siege tank that Tarson's going once again, if he just rushes to charge with this gold base already up, I can't see a way that Tarson is going to feel happy. He's just going to feel sad.
Yeah. You don't want to be sad, Artosis.
No, man.
It's
Life
not to
is
live.
actually about being happy.
Yeah, man. Well, this is a bad position right now. Tarson, he knows that basically the sand is running out of the hourglass right now. If he doesn't act very quickly, he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Well, the Banshee's still trying to do some damage. Has 3 kills on it only. It's been repaired several times. In fact, I think the repairing for it might cost more than the probes it's killed at this point.
I think so.
And cloaking once again, but he's going to run out of cloak momentarily. This Banshee is a non-issue.
Tarson has actually been overcloaking here.
Yeah.
You notice he's let the Banshee stay cloaked for long periods of time. He's cloaking a little bit before he needs to. I mean, it's not a huge criticism, but it is something I've noticed, a little bit of a flaw in his play right now. Looks like Combat Shields and Stim are on the way. They're going to finish at the exact same time. So he's probably going to have a pretty deadly timing push coming into this game.
But we do have Charge going up for NightEnd, so as long as he focuses on his Zealot production, he's going to be in quite nice shape.
I like this.
Yeah, it's better than that first game where we saw Blink.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely learned from game number 1 where he had Blink, and here's the problem. Blink is a great ability. It's great for sniping a scouting probe. It's great for getting a medevac. It's also great for just attacking, expansion, and retreating. But in that game 1, the combination of not just point defense from Ravens, or rather, Marines and siege tanks. I mean, this is something important to note. The difference in between a Stalker and a Raven and a siege tank is that or a siege tank and a Marine, is that the siege tank and the Marine, they don't have to have an animation that connects with the unit when they fire.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how good you are at blinking. If you're there, you just get hit.
That's quite right. Now, we do see actually a very heavy Stalker contingent. He's actually purchased, I believe it's 13 Stalkers right now. You have to be careful not to overmake Stalkers against this because, again, they are not going to be too good against these units, the Siege Tanks and the Marines. And here he goes.
This may be a little bit too ambitious. Actually, he's chasing him up there.
Yeah, it's doing all right so
Looks
far.
like he's going to be okay for now.
Yeah. has to back up though. Might want to use
Oh
some
man, look at
force
this.
fields.
He didn't get that siege tank over there in the bottom left.
And look at that, a lot of zealots in the back. Again, you have to be quite careful with that. You want to just hit with a huge amount of zealots against this, an overwhelming amount of zealots. Not doing that quite yet, but he does have some immortals in here to take a lot of the damage. But the Marines up front going to target those down ever so
Zealots are
easily.
getting stuck behind the stalkers.
Yeah.
All these units on one control group. This is a
God.
little bit unforgivable here, Artosis.
Yeah, and he's not going to be forgiven from Tarson. In fact, Tarson going to clean up the entire army of NightEnD. Huge blunder there by NightEnD.
And look at that one siege tank up here. He's now hitting those probes. I bet NightEnD really wishes he had at least gotten rid of that siege tank now.
And he works in a ton of stalkers. I have to be critical of this. Against a Marine siege tank, you want charge zealots. If you don't have Psy Storms, if you don't have Colossus, you need to rely upon charge zealots. But he's warping in so many stalkers, they just don't do the damage you need. They just don't close fast enough. They don't do anything well against this unit composition. You really have to be zealot heavy.
All right, here comes some zealots with the stalkers now.
Charging on the SCVs, so they aren't going to be able to close with the siege tank Marine and have to run away, taking a lot of splash damage there. Just a little bit sloppy on the execution of holding this rush.
You know, NightEnd's going to have to be very careful, Artosis, because these siege tanks are basically almost in range of the gold minerals. And if he starts to hit the gold minerals, then not only is Terran already sort of ahead, but then he's going to stay ahead because he can simply make more stuff. He has more money coming in.
You know what? Tarson is just kind of sitting his ground very smartly, but NightEnD keeps poking. And you should not poke against siege tanks. What you want to do is get the overwhelming force and then go. You can't let your units be weakened. You can't let them get softened up. But he's done that several times, so I don't know, man. Can he actually break this at this point?
Scanning and killing that observer. I don't know if he can actually come back from this Artosis. This is pretty bad.
Yeah, his probe count has plummeted.
Every time you poke against this many siege tanks, you're going to lose, 3 or 4 units. And, yeah, I mean, even with Immortals here, this angle just doesn't seem to be that good. This is going to be the attack that's going to have to work. Can he do it? The Banshee's taking some damage. The Zealots moving in here now. The Marines being kiting pretty well. The Immortals moving up to where the siege tanks are. We see some more reinforcements coming here. Both the Banshees are about to be killed off here, but here's the problem is, at the end of the day, there's just too many siege tanks in the back. That's what, 6 siege tanks back
yeah,
there?
man. He is keeping his siege tanks alive. The probes are going down. The gold base seems to be a lost cause.
Why is he not moving these probes?
He wants
He's
those
actually
gold minerals, tasteless.
I know, he wants them pretty badly.
Those probes see gold, and they just can't think normally anymore.
Gold, I tell ya. Struck gold. No, seriously though, I mean, he's just... You need to make sure you're not losing your probes, because even if you win that battle, you're basically dead. And
just nothing left, man. He just has no units here. Just lost too many times, and I think this is going to have to be GG. I mean, there's nothing left. 39 supply to 148.
wow, okay, that does it.
That is it. Tarson ends up winning the series 2-1. Thank you for watching. We have been Tasteless and Artosis Tastosis. Check out our shirts at thehandsomenerd.com and keep on watching the IGN Pro League.